Hello everyone, today we are going to go over some Game of Thrones prequel news centering around Aegon the Conqueror, but before that remember to like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada. Let's get to it. Variety first reported this news. I will link to their article in the description below. In the article, they say that a new Game of Thrones prequel about Aegon Targaryen's conquest of Westeros is being actively discussed at HBO. Variety has learned exclusively from sources. As the project is in its very early stages, no writer is currently attached, though sources say that their search is underway as HBO is keen to move forward and get it into development. Sources also say that there may be a feature component to the project, i.e. HBO and Warner Brothers would produce a feature film that would lead into the potential series, though plans remain in flux at present. So the key word in this article is that it is being discussed. That does not mean that it will be made or even develop it. There were 6 different Game of Thrones prequel shows that were in development at HBO at one time, and this graphic doesn't even include the Jon Snow sequel. We know some of these shows, according to George R.R. Martin's blog, were shelved, so they aren't going to move forward with them at this time, though he never said which ones. And for the most part, all these shows were in development. They had writers attached to them and scripts were being worked on. So my point is that Aegon's conquest being discussed as a possible prequel isn't exactly crazy news. I think most people assumed that it would be made at one point. It is the most well-known potential prequel in the Westeros universe, since Aegon the Conqueror is mentioned a lot in the original show. The thing that interests me the most in the article was the potential movie that would lead into the HBO series. Because what would that consist of? Because the series would obviously be about Aegon and his sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya, conquering Westeros, but what would lead up to that? Because all the crazy dragon and war scenes would take place during the conquest. Before Aegon started the conquering of Westeros, he flew Balerion, the biggest dragon in the Game of Thrones universe that we know of, all over Westeros to create the map table we are all very familiar with. Personally, that sounds like a pretty boring movie to me. The reason why you would have a movie is so that you have a bigger budget, because you couldn't do what you wanted to do in the show. The only thing I can think of that could lead into Aegon's conquest is the doom of Valyria, which is where the Targaryens are originally from. Valyria was destroyed by a cataclysmic event. Now, I could see that warranting a movie, but the Targaryens left 10-ish years before the doom, so it wouldn't really even be about them. In my mind, if you are going to go a movie route with this, have it paired with the show. So for instance, have all the talking bits and stuff in the series, but say there's going to be a giant battle, like the Field of Fire for instance, where the Lannisters and the Gardeners try and fight off the Targaryens. And you need a really big budget to show the epicness of it. Have it be a movie and have people go watch it in theaters. Now, some people would be mad about this, having to go to a theater to watch it, but if it makes it a better overall experience, I think people would be willing to pay extra money. My overall feeling about this news is cool. I would love to see it, though there are other Game of Thrones projects I would prefer to see first. I want to see the Jon Snow sequel. I think most people do. Twitter blew up when it was leaked, so I want to see that very badly. I would also like to see the Dunk and Egg prequel about the Hedge Knight and his squire. I think these two shows would be very different from what we have seen in the Westeros universe so far, which is why they interest me more. Like Game of Thrones, for the most part, is about who will sit on the throne. House of the Dragon is pretty much the same thing, and Aegon's conquest would be about the formation of the throne, so kinda similar as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that stuff, but I think it would be nice to tell different stories as well. It would change things up a bit. So what do you think of the possibility of an Aegon's Conquest prequel? Leave it down in the comments below, and if you want more Game of Thrones content, please subscribe and check out the Twitter. Link in the description below, and as always, have an awesome day.